Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to dive deep into the money, the power, and the future of one of the world's most famous football leagues. It's a story about a kingdom, two giants, and a battle for the very soul of Spanish football.
So, let's get one thing straight. Spain is a nation that is absolutely obsessed with football. It's woven into the very fabric of its culture. But for decades, this football kingdom has been ruled by just two immensely powerful clubs: Real Madrid and FC Barcelona. I mean, they're more than just clubs, right? They became these huge symbols of identity and power, and that status let them build a dynasty.
And that's the big question, isn't it? It gets right to the heart of how Spanish football is actually built. How did this two-team dynasty even happen, and what does it mean for literally everyone else? Is this just the natural order of things, or is it a system that was basically designed to keep the giants right there on top?
Okay, so here's what we're going to break down. We are going to follow the money to see how this dominance was built. We'll look at the real-world consequences of this massive financial gap, check out LaLiga's ambitious master plan to fight back, and finally, ask what the future really holds for this footballing kingdom.
All right, first up, let's define the central problem here. And look, it's not just that two teams win a lot. It's about the immense and deeply entrenched financial and competitive power held by Real Madrid and FC Barcelona.
This goes way beyond just trophies on a shelf. We're talking about a structural imbalance. It's one that's been fueled for decades by money, by global brand power, and a unique history that's allowed these two clubs to grow, well, far, far larger than any of their rivals. So, how in the world did this happen? Well, to really understand how the gap grew so wide, we have to follow the single most important factor: television broadcast revenue. This, right here, is where the story of inequality truly begins.
You know, before 2015, Spanish football was kind of like the Wild West of TV rights. Real Madrid and Barcelona were totally free to negotiate their own broadcast deals. And because they were the biggest global draws, they took a colossal slice of the pie, leaving the other 18 clubs to basically fight over the crumbs. Then, in 2015, the Spanish government stepped in with a royal decree, forcing a switch to a collective selling model to try and level the playing field.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. It's all in the fine print. See, both leagues split half the TV money equally, but look at that last 25%. The Premier League bases it on how many times you're on TV, but La Liga, they base it on social reach, things like fan base size and viewership. Now, who do you think has the biggest fan bases? Real Madrid and Barcelona, of course. So even in a supposedly fairer system, the model has a little trick built right in that keeps favoring the two giants.
So, even with all these changes that were designed to create more balance, a huge financial gap is still there. And that gap isn't just a number on a spreadsheet. It has some profound consequences for the health and the competitiveness of the entire league.
In this chart just perfectly illustrates the scale of the challenge La Liga is facing on the world stage. The Premier League's total revenue is just over 7 billion euros. La Liga? It came in at nearly half that with 3.7 billion. I mean, that colossal gap makes it incredibly difficult for Spanish clubs, even the big guys, to compete for top talent in the transfer market.
And here's the crucial point. For most clubs in Spain, television money isn't just important, it's everything. On average, it's 63% of their total revenue. Think about that for a second. While the top clubs have massive commercial deals and ticket sales, most other teams rely on that TV check just to survive. This extreme dependence makes them super vulnerable, and it really limits their ability to invest and grow.
And this dependency creates this vicious cycle. To stay afloat and meet financial rules, smaller clubs are often forced to sell their most talented players. This continuous talent drain weakens their squads, which then makes it even harder for them to succeed and earn more prize money. It's a loop that actively prevents them from ever closing the gap.
So, faced with this pretty stark reality, La Liga isn't just sitting back and watching. They've got an ambitious, long-term plan to fight back. But it's not the plan you might expect. They're not just trying to find more money, they're trying to change the game itself.
Instead of trying to outspan the financial juggernaut that is the Premier League, La Liga is doubling down on its greatest strength: its world-renowned youth academies, the Canteras. The plan is basically to become the world's #1 league for developing, nurturing, and promoting homegrown talent.
And this is a massive 10-year project with 5 key pillars.
It goes way beyond just better pitches. We're talking upgrading everything with the latest tech, providing real player care that includes education and mental health support, and professionalizing the entire coaching structure. It's a complete ground-up rebuild of their talent pipeline.
And here's the thing. The data shows this strategy is built on an incredibly solid foundation. Spanish clubs are already world leaders in trusting their academy kids. On average, LaLiga clubs give 17% of their minutes to homegrown players, compared to just over 12% in the Premier League. And you've got clubs like Athletic Bilbao, Real Sociedad, and Celta Vigo. I mean, they're setting the standard for all of Europe.
But, and there's always a but, despite this clever, forward-thinking plan, the future for La Liga is far from certain. There are still some fundamental challenges here that an academy-first approach might not be able to solve on its own.
It's a classic catch-22, right? For La Liga's international TV rights value to grow and actually challenge the Premier League, the competition needs to be more exciting, more unpredictable. But for the clubs to get more competitive and challenge the Big Two, they need a bigger slice of that TV revenue. Breaking this cycle? Well, that's the central challenge.
Which leaves us with the ultimate question about the very soul of this competition. Can focusing on youth development really overcome a financial structure that has favored two giants for generations? Or is the gap now just simply too large to bridge, no matter how good the plan is?
So there you have it. That's our deep dive into La Liga's fight for its future. It's a super complex battle between money, tradition, and innovation. And now, as always, we want to hear from you.
So what complex topic should we break down for you next time? Are you curious about the history of a legendary national team? Maybe the business model of another major sports league? Or should we step away from sports entirely and explore a fascinating topic in psychology?
Your feedback really does shape the show, so drop your choice in the comments below. And if you want to understand more complex topics just like this one, make sure to like this explainer and subscribe so you never miss what's next. Thanks for watching.